Hey guys, it's me Jocelyn. So today I'm going to be showing you some After Effects inspired transitions on Alight Motion. Now a little disclaimer if anybody claims that these aren't After Effects transitions. I use After Effects for all of my edits and these are the transitions I personally use, so I guess this is like my favorite transitions. I don't know, but I'm just going to call it After Effects inspired transitions. So yeah, let's just get started. So this first one is going to be a smooth flip. Now first things first, you don't have to have your photo zoom out like mine is. I just added that for the effect. First things first, you're going to want to go ahead and go onto the 3D category and select Flip Layer. Now, you can make the distance a little bit further out if you'd like. You don't have to. It's just what I like to do. That's just like my personal preference. But it definitely works a lot better if you do it that way. Just a little heads up. I accidentally turned on the tiles for this. Just let me get rid of that real quick. So if you have a black background, it's definitely going to end up looking a lot better. That's just what I have to say. Now, go on to angle. Right about at the beginning of your clip, add a keyframe. And then right at the end of your clip, add another keyframe for angle. And make it 90.0 degrees or just 90 degrees. It has to be exact, otherwise this transition will end up looking a bit choppy. Now you can just go ahead and adjust your keyframes. Now the graph is the most important part of this entire transition because it's what makes the transition smooth. So once you go to your graphs, you just want to go ahead and you want to hit these three dots down here and you're going to want to tap Enable Overshoot. This will give you the option to extend your graphs to much larger lengths than just the regular default graphs do. So what you want to do is you want to tap this little graph right here. Oh, wrong one. Tap this one right here. Pull this little dot right here and extend it to downwards, just like this. You can make it as intense as you want. The further you extend it, the more it's going to flip over to the other side and then go on with the transition. If you don't know what I mean, this is what I mean. It's going to flip a little bit and it's just going to turn into the transition. But if I did it all the way, you're going to see an intense flip like that. I don't like it all the way. I like it right about here. And yeah. So now at the end of this clip, right near the end, about maybe 0.5 seconds before the clip ends, you're going to want to go into blending and opacity. Add two keyframes, one at the beginning and one at the very end of your clip, and you're going to want to, on the second one, make the opacity completely 0. Now, this is probably not going to make a lot of sense, but this is one of the also most important parts of making the transition smooth. So, yeah. Go into your second photo, add on Flip Layer once again, and then you can control the distance again however you want. Now, just go ahead and finish off that flip by doing negative 90 degrees instead of positive 90 degrees on this one. Just like this. Now, the graph, it can kind of be just like the other one if you want it to. It doesn't have to be, though. You can just do a regular outgraph if you want, if that's what you feel like doing. I'm going to just do a regular outgraph or something like it. So, yeah. I'm going to keep my overshoot on just so it kind of has that same effect. And this is what it'll end up looking like. Now, on the second clip, you're going to want to go back to blending and opacity at the very beginning on your second clip. Turn the opacity all the way down, add one keyframe, move a few frames forward, add another, and turn the opacity back up all the way. And this is what the final result of the smooth flip should look like. Now, if the opacity was too intense, you could always make the duration of it just a little bit shorter, move the keyframes closer together. You could always adjust the graphs. You could do whatever you'd like with it. But this is one of my new favorite transitions on every editing app because it always looks so seamless and smooth. And yeah, this next transition is another personal favorite of mine, and it is an anchored spin. So the anchor point is going to be down at the bottom when you do this. That's why I call it an anchored spin. Just let me go ahead and delete the first transition I had of this, just so I can show you guys how to do it from scratch. And yeah, so what you want to do is you want to go into your first photo. Make sure you have tiles applied to both of your photos. Otherwise, it isn't really going to look the way you want it to. But if that's your thing, go ahead for it. What you want to do is you want to go to Move and Transform on your first photo. Tap the 4 arrows right here. And then you'll have swipe here to move pivot point, anchor point, pivot point. They're pretty much the same thing. I just say anchor point because that's on After Effects and that's just what I've been using, so that's what I really know it as. But it's pivot point on Alight Motion. What you're going to want to do is scroll down to the bottom and put the pivot point about right here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that with my photo in a group. You guys don't have to group your photo. I'm only doing that because I already have a transition on here. So I just don't want it to affect the transition that I previously had. So let me just go ahead and fix what I just messed up real quick. I'm just going to go ahead and group my photo like this, and I'm going to move my pivot point down to the bottom, just like I said I was. Now you're going to want to go onto the spin panel, move a few frames forward, add a keyframe, go to the end of your clip, add another keyframe, and make it -90 or somewhere around there. Just like this. I also have to add tiles to this clip, so excuse that. Now, you can go back onto your graphs, make sure you have enable overshoot on. Mine says disable because I already have it enabled, but you get it. And basically do the exact same graph that you did with your first transition. So it'll end up looking like this. Like it'll zoom out and then it'll go a little bit the other way, and then it'll finish off. Now, go on to your second photo. Once again, make sure tiles are applied. Go back to move and transform, and then just move the pivot point in the exact same place that it was for your first photo. And you can just finish off that spin like a normal spin. So since we did -90 the first time, we're going to do +90 this time, or somewhere around there. And then we're just going to do the same graph. You can make yours like we did for the first one. I just prefer a regular out graph for this transition. I'm also going to add on more tiles for this and motion blur as well. And I'm going to fix the tiles within the clip real quick. So just let me fix this. And this is what your transition should end up looking like once you are done, or something like this. It depends on how intense you do the graphs, how intense you want the motion blur. And now this next transition is a little bit complex, so I just want to warn you guys about that. This is a 3-slide reveal, and it'll end up looking like this. It's all within the same photo, so at least that's good and won't be too complex with that. But you do need to have a lot of things you need to do first before you even begin. So I have my photos in groups already, so I'm just going to go inside the group and tell you what you need to do. First off, you need to have a photo on the bottom, and then you need to have another photo. These are not 3 different photos. This is all just the same photo split up. And what I did is I duplicated the photo 3 times, just like by tapping this and hitting duplicate. And then I cut it, like I went to about 0.30 seconds in between the first, like right here at the very middle, I cut it, and then right before the very end, I cut it as well, the duplicated photos. You don't want to use different ones. So if you don't know what I mean, basically I duplicated it, or, you know, whatever. And then what I did is I moved a little bit this way, and then I trimmed it so it looks like this. But we're going to get rid of that because we don't want 2 group 2s. So once you have your duplicated photos, I'll just go inside the group and show you. That'll probably be a little bit easier. So if I had this photo right here, pretend this is just like a whole photo, and I hit duplicate 3 times, what you want to do after you're done duplicating is you're going to go a little bit in the middle, add a little marker, and then chop off half of this one, and then go over here, add a little marker, and then chop off half of this one. So it ended up looking something like this at the end. I just need to get rid of that real quick just so it doesn't mess up my actual transition. Now, what you want to do for your first like duplicated photo, your settings for the wipe are going to want to be, your start is just going to be 0% throughout the whole thing. You're going to keyframe end from 0%, and then at the end of the clip to 100%. And you're going to want to make sure that your angle is at 90 degrees. I will have this down in a pinned comment just so you guys can read the instructions, because this transition does require a lot of time. So if you're planning on doing that, that's a full warning. For your second clip or your second duplicated photo, you're going to want to have your wipe. You want to have the end 100% the entire time. You don't want it to have any keyframes, but you're going to want to keyframe start at the beginning 100%, and then at the end of your second duplicated clip, start is going to be at 0%. And make sure to add grabs to all of these, otherwise they won't be smooth. And make sure your angle is 90 degrees for all of these. Now on your third and last duplicated photo, what you're going to want to do is your start's going to be 0% the entire time, and your end is going to be keyframed. First keyframe is 0, and the second keyframe is 100. Now, another thing I forgot to mention, you're probably going to have to crop your photos beforehand. I didn't personally feel like going on a Pixar and cropping certain parts of the photo, so I added wipe to each of my clips. I just did start 0% and 40%. You don't need to keyframe these. These are just for the individual duplicated clips of the photo. I will have this in the pinned comment since this transition is so like hard and stressful. I know I just kind of advanced a little bit, so just full on warning. For my second duplicated photo, to crop it, I also had it at start 25% and the end was 70%. And then for my third group, I didn't even put wipe on. I mean, I guess I did. I just had the start at 0 and the end at 100. I don't think I cropped it at all because I didn't need to. But I will also have a screenshot of this right here. This is for my slide reveal number 3. It has all the settings you need. It has all like the wipes you need for the inside of the picture. I grouped mine because I cropped them on Alight Motion. But if you crop them beforehand, you're probably not going to need to group them. Like if you add in little 3 slices of the photo, you're not going to have to group them. I just did it because it was easier for me. And yeah, this is the 3 slide reveal. I love doing this on After Effects. It always looks so smooth and seamless, and I'm just obsessed with this transition on any editing app. But now that I know how to do it on Alight Motion, I will definitely be using it in future edits. This next transition is something that I love doing when I kind of run out of ideas on After Effects, but I still want kind of like a creative one. It is called a reverse mirror slide. Now, ignore the little group I have going on at the beginning. You can completely ignore that if you want. I just have that there for me. I'm going to go ahead and just recenter this photo. So I'm just going to get rid of these keyframes real quick. I'm sorry I left them all just to help myself with the tutorial. So first things first, you're going to want to have your first photo. You're going to want to have tiles and motion blur applied. Also, you're going to want to have motion blur applied for all of these. I don't know why I never specified that, but that's just kind of it's kind of like a known fact in the editing community. But if you didn't know it, that's completely okay. Motion blur just makes your edit smoother. So yeah, so what you want to do is you want to go on to move and transform, and then to the zoom in panel, and then you want to tap the little infinity sign, add 1 keyframe a few frames after your clip begins, and then at the end you want to add another keyframe, and you're going to want to slide this right here, this little panel, this way, so it's closing in on itself, or it gives that effect. And then you can just keyframes, yeah. You can do a graph like I did. I'm not going to, for the first few transitions, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So it's closing in on itself. I'm going to make it so the graph is normal again. And I'm just going to do a normal, graph I would in any other edit. End up looking like that. Now, on your second clip, you're going to want to have it duplicated. And then on the first layer of your duplicated, so the very top photo, you're going to want to search up copy background. Now, I'm so thankful for the search bar because I do not feel like searching for all these effects in their own categories. So thank you, Alight Motion, for that. Now, add another effect and type in wipe. And on the end, make sure it's 50%. Now, go ahead, and the last effect you're going to need to add onto this top layer is mirror, just like this. Now, on your bottom layer, or the bottom photo, go to move and transform, and without adding any keyframes, so don't add one, slide your photo as far apart as you can without the black background revealing, so about like this. Add a keyframe at the beginning, and then at the end, and then slide them closer to each other again, just like this. You can slide them as close as you want. It just depends on how intense you want the ending of this transition to be. And then just do your outgraph. And this is the reverse mirror slide. Especially if you added on a wave warp to it, it'll definitely look a lot cooler, or just any effect in general. And for this very last transition, this is probably one of the most popular transitions on After Effects I've ever seen. So let's just get started. It is a split slide meltdown. So there are a few things you're going to need to do before you start the transition itself. You're going to need to have 3 photos, one at the bottom and then 2 to be on top. The ones on top you can crop in another app, but if you're going to do it in Alight Motion like I did, you're going to want to add wipe, and on the first top photo, make sure start is at 0 and end is at 80. And if on the second photo on the bottom, you're going to want to make sure the start is at 30 and then the end is at 80. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and duplicate your first bottom clip. So this will pretty much be like the end of your transition on the second one or the beginning of this one. It's whatever one you want. So what you want to do is you want to make sure they're duplicated. Hit the little eyeball on the bottom one right here because we don't need that right now. And then add on wipe to the first part of this. You can make the start 50 right here. And then on the bottom layer, you can turn the visibility back on. You can go ahead and add on wipe for this one. And then you can make the end 50. So that way they're equal with each other. Just like this. Okay, so now that it looks like this, on this photo right here, the top layer, you're going to want to go ahead and go on to move and transform. Tap the 4 arrows to move your anchor point. You can make your anchor point go downwards or upwards. I'm going to make mine go upwards for this one, just so the transition works out. And then you're going to want to go ahead and go on to the zoom in category and make sure the little diamond or the little keyframe thing is tapped, or the little infinity, I'm sorry, and add 2 keyframes, one a couple frames after the beginning and then one at the end or somewhere near there. And you're going to want to slide the photo down. Now, my bad, I accidentally meant to do this on the other photo, so let me just get to that layer real quick. That's completely my bad, I'm sorry. Let me get to this one right here. Okay, so let me just mess around with the anchor point one more time. I gotta fix that because this transition is so confusing to me and it was hard for me to even figure out how to do. So yeah, so basically just do the exact same things I just told you to do. Hopefully you didn't click the wrong picture like me, but if you did, that's okay. So now you can go ahead and start sliding down this part of your photo. You could also use the little square method I know a lot of people use, but this one is just easier because it does just this clip individually. And I'm going to go ahead and move my keyframe to right about here. Now on this first photo, you're going to want to do the exact same thing, but move the anchor point in the opposite direction. So since I moved it up the first time, I'm going to move it down this time. So this is going to be the beginning of the second part of the transition. So this is going to be the first photo. You know how you had those photos layered and you had to crop them all? This is the one I'm talking about. Now you can go ahead, go on to whatever it's called, the zoom panel, and then add your keyframes there. I'm going to go ahead and add mine just like this. And I'm going to slide it the opposite way, clearly. I mean, yeah. So this way it's going, oops, I didn't mean to do that. This way it's going upwards. This transition is definitely stressful, so don't get too down on yourself if you can't get it the first try, because clearly I can't get it the first try either. It's a very complex transition to do, like especially if you're new to alight motion. So I just want to warn you guys on that. And you just do the simple outgraph. So as you can see, the first part of the transition is complete. So this slid down into that. Now this little white's here for a reason. It is this duplicated layer right here. Just ignore that. I think it's just a glitch. Now we're going to go on to this bottom section right here. We're going to put that on top just so we know what layer we're working with. And then we're going to go ahead and make the anchor point to the bottom on this one. So this is going to be the first part of the transition, but it is the duplicated layer that we haven't touched yet. So I just wanted to warn you guys about that. Now go to the zoom in panel, and if yours is glitching like mine, you're probably not going to be able to see what's going on, but that's okay. You can just wing it. You can just try and guess or estimate. Now go ahead and add on 1 keyframe after that transition's ended the first one, and then go to the beginning of your second photo if you have my issue, and then add another keyframe on your zoom in category. Don't actually tap that photo though, just make sure you're in the zoom in category section thingy, you know. Yeah, okay, anyways, let me get back to this right here. I need to move this keyframe down here. Just like this. Okay. So since that one started right there, this one's going to start right here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to slide it just the way we did before. My bad. You can you can hit play on this as well. I don't know why it's acting all glitchy right now. That's really annoying to me, but yeah, so at least we know we have it that way. So you're just going to want to go ahead and make your graph, make sure so it looks right. I don't really know why these two are separated right now. I think it's kind of annoying. But let's just see if I can fix that. Okay. So it's going to end up looking like this. It's going to slide down. That one's going to slide up just like this. You can also adjust the keyframes if they look a bit weird. So I want this transition to start while the other one is ending. So it's going to end up looking like this, like that one ends and that one starts. Now, all you have to do is go onto this clip right here. Make sure to slide your anchor point upwards, just like this for this photo, because we slid it down for that one. So now we're going to slide it up. And then we're going to go back to the zoom in panel, add 2 keyframes, one at the beginning, one at the end, and then we're just going to slide it just like we have been for all the other photos. And now we're just going to add an outgraph, just like this. Also, motion blur makes this look laggy, so try not to add too much. And this is the final result. I'm so sorry if this wasn't easy or clear to understand. It is a very complex transition, same with the 3 photo slide reveal, but yeah, that was it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and comment down below any tutorial requests that you guys may have. And yeah, I love you guys. Bye!